Since their inception in 1991, Tool has released 4 studio albums: 1993's Undertow, 1996's Anima, 2001's Lateralus, and 2006's 10,000 Days. Today, we're here to focus on 2001's Lateralus. So I'm sure that many of you who actually know me from outside of my videos know that I am a very big Tool fan. And by big, I'm not really exaggerating. I am a huge fan of Tool. I've listened to every single one of their studio albums, and pretty much every release they've ever put out, except for one 2000 live album called Salival, or Salival, I don't even know how to pronounce it. But basically, I am one of the biggest Tool fans you could ever meet, who, quite honestly, does a little bit less of his job as a fan than he should. I'd only own 2 of their albums physically, and those are, I own Lateralus and Opiate on vinyl. And as a big fan of Tool, you'd think, oh, you know, I don't know everything, but I don't. And the reason why I'm even here because of Tool, or the whole reason I'm here for Tool, is because of Lateralus. I messed that part up. The reason why I'm here for Tool... Oh my god, can I even speak today? The reason why I am even here listening to Tool now in 2018 is because of Lateralus. That's why I'm going to be here to talk about it as the first review on my channel, because it has that big of an impact on me to the point of where it is not only working around my own music now, but also is pretty much the reason why I listen to so much music that I do now. Tool was one of my biggest gateways in music, and I don't even really know what to say to that. It's really shocking because a lot of Tool fans see things differently. They see Tool in their own eyes. Every person does. There will never be a Tool fan that is the same. I can guarantee that. Everyone has at least one difference with them. Sure, you might agree on some things. You might have some similar ideologies when it comes to the band. But just about every single fan is different. So you'll never find one that's the exact same as you. At least not commonly anyway. I've met and spoken to several Tool fans, and we can all kind of see that, you know, we are all different people when it comes to Tool as a whole. However, the unanimous opinion, including not only above critics but among fans, is that Lateralus is the best Tool album to date. As many people might be aware if you keep up with music, Tool is currently in the works with a new studio album, and they have been since 2006. However, a bunch of lawsuits and other things hindered them from getting in the studio, and of course, now that they finally have the time to, we are waiting with bated breath to see how it comes out. However, every single Tool fan must hear this album before they listen to that one, because this is the cornerstone of Tool's magnificence. It is the epitome of a fantastic album. There is not one weak primary track on this album, and the reason why I say primary track is because this album has little vignettes in them. I believe that's how you pronounce that word. I have no idea how to pronounce that. I believe it's vignette. They have little vignettes in them, such as Mantra, Phi Eep de Oyad, and that's about it. But every single major track on this album is beloved by fans and are still concert staples to this day, even if they weren't released as a single. This album's tracks like The Patient and The Grudge were never released as singles, but they're still played at every single Tool show because of their popularity. It's fantastic. This album is what brought Tool their success, because of how accessible it was. Their previous 2 albums, Undertow and Anima, have some very, 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 very thin lines of likability from a general public. Meaning, if you are not a Tool fan already, there's a high chance you're not going to like these albums as much as, well, you should. Of course, there's always going to be differences of people, and even some Tool fans do not like their earlier material. There are a lot of Tool fans out there who do not like the pre-Lateralus era, which is giving them very little material to choose from, but that's besides my point. I am aware that when it comes to Lateralus, it's not accessible, meaning it's not going to be able to be picked up by anybody who is looking for new music. In my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinion as well, Lateralus is actually one of the longest Tool albums to date for several reasons. It's actually almost 80 minutes long, barely capping out at the maximum for a CD, and that was the band's intention, was they wanted to max out a CD with their album. And they do that by making some of the most intricate, complicated, and layered music in the progressive rock genre. The title track, Lateralus, is actually centered around the mathematical principle of the Fibonacci sequence, meaning I believe it's I don't know exactly what the Fibonacci sequence is at the moment, but you will see it on screen now, because I can't really describe it off the top of my head. It's very complicated, so I will include a visual description for you instead. And that track is almost 10 minutes in length, and it is phenomenal, quite possibly the best song on the album, because of its sheer awesomeness. It gave me chills and still does to this day. It's quite possibly the pinnacle of Tool's musical abilities, because obviously, me being the Tool nerd that I am, I would not say that it's their best song, but as musicians, it is their pinnacle. It is their peak. They will never make anything better than this track. It's not my favorite. It's not even in my top 5 tracks by Tool, but it is definitely one of their best tracks, and it can be agreed on by just about every person who listens to Tool that it is the achievement of their music, and it is the top of the line for them and always will be. Certain songs on this album, like Schism, were released as singles. Schism ended up winning a Grammy in 2002, so that gave the band a very mainstream score, which at first, according to guitarist Adam Jones back in the mid-90s, the band did not really want to have mainstream success and wanted to remain independent and edgy, I guess is the word to use. Now, obviously, after the release of albums like Anima, they kind of threw that out the window because Anima went platinum almost immediately. It also received tons of critical acclaim, commercial success, and they became worldwide stars overnight. Not worldwide stars, but I'd say they're very big. They became very big. They obviously weren't really suitable for radio, not only because of their lyrical content, because a lot of early Tool's material actually has a lot of adult themes in them. Undertow's Prison Sex is centered around rape, so that couldn't be on the radio despite it actually being played on the radio. They released an edited version of the song for radio stations. Songs from Anima, such as Stinkfist, had their names censored on MTV when the videos were played, and certain videos were shoved into late-night blocks because of their content. Heck, you want me to be entirely honest? Some of the videos from Anima and Undertow are so disturbing they actually have been age-restricted on YouTube. That's pretty crazy, don't you think? Watch the video for frickin' Stinkfist. It's weird, it's creepy, and it's genius, but we'll get to that when I review Anima. As a whole, I think Lateralus speaks Tool's message kind of as a whole. Tool has always been a very intelligent band, and I'm not trying to sound like an elitist, jerk here, but this is an album that definitely defines that intelligence. It's built around a lot of layering, complexity, and intricacy. There are songs on here that are literally nothing but 10-minute jam sessions on guitar, drum, bass. Well, there's only one on here, and that's Triad, which is the official, well, not the official, but it's like the unofficial closing to the album. It's a great track, it's fantastic, and it goes to show Tool's prowess as musicians. However, there are definitely tracks on this album that display Tool's mastered abilities, I guess, as musicians, and that comes in the form of Ticks and Leeches, in my opinion. Ticks and Leeches is by far the best song on this album, in my opinion. It is intricate, the guitar is awesome, the lyrics are screamy, they're deep, well, they're not deep, but you know what I mean by that. They're not like philosophical or intelligent, but they speak a message, and that's what Tool does best. Tool loves to put messages in their music, and Maynard James Keenan, the lead singer of the band, has even said to some songs, it's up to you to decide what goes on here, such as Prison Sex and its sequel song, Jimmy, from Anima. It's really, really neat to be a Tool fan and allow yourself to have this headcanon for these songs. That's what I love to do with music. I love doing that with music. Every time I listen to an album or a song, I always make my own headcanon if it's a concept album, especially if it's a concept album. I love to build my own little sequence from the ground up, especially with some of my favorite albums of all time, which you will see a review of very soon, hopefully. If everything goes according to plan, you will see a review of one of these aforementioned concept albums. Now, the fan favorite from Lateralus is something I can't really ignore because any Tool fan that watches this video is going to pretty much roast me if I don't. I am talking about the 2-part epic Parable Parabola, which is by far one of the most grueling but epic Tool tracks to date. I think it's almost 10 minutes in length. Just the two parts combined are 10 minutes in length. Part 1, Parable, excuse me. Parable is a 3-minute quiet track with Maynard James Keenan speaking over a distorted bass, well, not speaking but singing rather, until it leads in at the very end of the song to this fading in guitar. It's like a winding up guitar volume, and then seconds later snaps right into the opening of Parabola, and it is one of the smoothest and best transitions in any song ever. It's fantastic. Now, there are some songs in this album that I do have to mention without really going into explicit detail, such as the track Eon Blue Apocalypse, which was actually made for Adam Jones, the guitarist's dog, who's named Eon Blue, who has been with him since the inception of Tool. You can see him in a promotional image from around the time of the release of their debut EP, Opiate. He died of bone cancer during the production of Lateralus, so Adam Jones wrote this song on guitar to tribute him. And it's a very simple song on guitar to play. If you're looking for a Tool song to play on guitar, go ahead and play that one because it's very simple and it's a really good song as it is. Now, that leads into The Patient, which is another one of Tool's best songs. It's really growing on me recently. I have been listening to that song a lot recently because I've been listening to Lateralus now for almost a year. It was my formal introduction to Tool, and although I did not like it at first, it very quickly grew on me back in October. I did discuss back in the day what could be my favorite Tool album, and I really decided that for a while. Could it be Lateralus or 10,000 Days? Now, before I end off this video, I would like to go ahead and say thank you for watching, thank you for listening to this review, although I would have to give this album a score or it wouldn't be a formal review. So, with that, I give Tool's Lateralus a 10 out of 10 for being one of the greatest and best examples of a band who can take their minds, apply it to music, not only with lyrics but also with the sound itself, and make it one of the best albums, one of the best alternative rock albums, one of the best progressive rock albums, and one of the best metal albums of all time. Even going as far as to say it is the best metal album of the 21st century. Yes, I'm not the only person who agrees with that. There are people, including publications like Loudwire, who agree with me that Lateralus is the cornerstone of progressive metal. It's fantastic. So, with that, this video concludes. Thank you all so much for listening to this review. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you all later.